at 12 years old because I got such a kick out of it. Plus, I was just kind of taken back. Anthony, at 12 years old, Mr. Perillo goes to Yankee Stadium because he idolized Joe DiMaggio.
The PAL.
PAL.
50 cents was the seat.
50 cents.
Yeah.
A lot of money back
You, and you know what? Back in the old stadium, he could have been behind, you know, one of those steel columns for 50 cents, an obstructed seat. But he gives a painting that he did of Joe DiMaggio. He gives it to the gentleman at the turnstile, and the gentleman at the turnstile looks at Mr. Perillo. He's only 12 years old. And he said, "Who did this?" He said, "I did." So he goes, "Don't go anywhere." He gets the head of security. Head of security comes over to Mr. Perillo. He said, "Who did?" He said, "I did." He goes, "Are you an artist?" And he kind of shrugged his shoulders.
I'm a kid.
Like this. He says, "Give me your phone number." Mr. Perillo's dad had just installed a phone only about a week
Just had phones.
earlier. Fast forward the story, a couple of days later, Mr. Perillo answers, the phone rings, and on the other end, he said, "Let me speak to Gregory Perillo." He says, "Speaking," and he says, "This is Toots Shaw."
The famous restaurateur.
The famous restaurateur. And Mr. Perillo says, "I don't know any Toots Shaw." He says, "Well, I own a restaurant, and Mr. DiMaggio wants you to join him for lunch." And that's an unbelievable story. And I tell you what, there's a P.S. to that story, if you'll share with us.
Yes. Many years later, I was doing work for the Gold Glove Awards, Rollings, and my friend Gallo, who's the cartoonist for the Daily News.
That's Bill Gallo.
We love Bill Gallo.
And he came
And he's not dropping names, he just can't help it.
My friend Gallo.
Right.
And he came over to me and he says, "Greg, I want you to come over and meet Joe D." So I went over and we talked, and I told him that I met you before. I did a watercolor of you when I was 12 years old. He says, "You're that kid?"
That's the amazing part of the
It's
story.
unbelievable.
It stayed in his mind.
In his mind, could you imagine the impact that it had on Joe DiMaggio?
When you were over the house, I didn't show you the painting of Joe D. We walked right by.
We walked right by it. That's,
He hangs in my house with Babe Ruth.
again,